Started skateboarding in June, like right before junior high. When we moved up here, it was like, college town, and the kids were all like, I don't know, like the sons and daughters of like professors and shit. And I had a bunch of friends around there that I'd made, Matt Wanderer, John Kennedy, Lateef Collins, who else? There's tons of other people, but those are sort of my core group initially. And I started skateboarding. It was like some guy who did some work for my dad. I think he was in high school or maybe just graduated high school. Had this old skateboard, and I wanted to start skating because I saw all the other kids skating. So my dad bought me this skateboard. It was some like generic thing from like Kmart or something like that. And I had, I rode that for a while, and then rode it till it broke, and then I got some kind of banana board thing and rode that until it broke. And I don't even remember like where that thing. It was a yellow banana board. I don't even remember where I got it. And I was trying to do tricks on it and stuff, but it was like that was like kind of like trying to skateboard on one roller skate. It was like this weird little thing. And then eventually, I remember my parents buying me. I don't know if it was a Sam Cunningham or what it was. I'm trying to remember because I had so many boards when I used to skate. When I first started, and some of them I would like trade them with people. Tim, Cody. They always had some kind of deck, or like Brian Reed had a deck. I remember I had that Billy Ruff. Remember that Billy Ruff deck?
Yeah.
That was, who did I get that from? Kevin Kaloff.
Yeah.
Had that board, and he had the little death bolts. Remember the little death bolts?
Oh, God.
You put the little, like, long pins or the long screws through, and the idea is a Billy Ruff board. This thing was, like, had been ridden by everybody, and it was loved by everybody, but it was like this peanut. It looked like a peanut. You remember it had a short little tail on it because it had just been worn down so much. But this thing was an ollie machine. It was like, I remember I started to learn how to ollie, and I had this sort of competition going with everybody, especially like Ian Holbrook, who was learning. He was having a hard time figuring out how to ollie, and I taught him how to do it, and then he was like, but I remember there's this whole ollie thing, and then I think Kevin had taught me, like, you need to pop the tail in a certain way, and then your feet, you got to make sure your foot doesn't go above the front of the board, so you can then like balance it out. It's all about popping it and then balancing it out, and that's what those ollie bolts were. We call them death bolts. They'd rip up my shoes, but man, I could ollie like 4 feet off the ground. Boom! Like if I wanted to. Well, maybe that's too much. I don't know, 3.5. I don't know. I don't know how far I could do it, but we would do like these things where we'd stack up boards and see how many boards we could ollie over. Did that with Tim. Favorite places to skate. One of the places that really stands out in my mind is the Richards Tunnel underpass on Richards Boulevard, where the tunnel kind of goes like this, right?
Right.
And I can get you the picture of this, but I remember there's I was with Brian Reed, and there's this kind of psychedelic thing going on where you would take the rails off, and then like, all the graphics would get all like marred up, and then get gummed together and stuff from hitting curves, and that was always cool. I remember, oh man, cool pattern, that's like a cool pattern or whatever on your board, But I remember also then looking at the board after all the graphics were rubbed off and starting to put my graphics on there and like drawing big eyeballs and weird stuff.
Name off some of your favorite pros from that time.
Natas Kappas. Oh.
Why Natas?
Because he could do that crazy trick on the fire hydrant.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I can't remember what...
any time skating with Kevin Kaloff?
Yeah, he was part of that whole thing where we had a little ollie competition. Tim was there, Central Park. You know what I'm talking about?
There was James Liao.
James Liao.
Was that who that was?
Might have been.
He was really good at the ollies. and Matt. I forget what his last name was, Rizzo or something.
James
like that.
Liao. James Liao.
Yeah.
God, he was really that guy was.
He was really good with the
He
ollies.
was a monster at
Yeah,
ollies.
and I loved skating with him and Matt and Kevin Kaloff. Those three I met through John Diaz.
Matt.
We went over to skate his ramp, and I knew John Diaz from the St. James days, and so that's how I got to know all those guys.
Kevin Kaloff, yeah, and then
Dudes like Jerome Vigil would show up with mumble something, and
right.
David Young came over, and then
Dave Young.
we invited over to Dave Young, and that's when John Vanderhoff and Eric
Vanderhoff.
Ragavine came over, and the Monagle brothers or whatever.
Monagles.
Jimmy
Monagle, Mike Monagle,
and J.K.
Yep, J.K. Yep. And Kevin. So I remember there's a few times we used to go to Central Park and have these ollie competitions, and people would take their. And John Chendo was there, Halsey Rodman, Alex Ward, Mike Schiller, Dylan Cassidy. I'm trying to remember Terry Wade, Jacob Zender,
Wagner.
Andy. Andy Wagner. Andy Wagner. Yeah, he had that Telecaster. Thinking about getting guitars, I remember he had that Telecaster. And he also had that ramp too. I remember we used to go to his house way out. Where
That's right.
That ramp, he had that little. It's a little half pipe, they built. And we used to have these competitions where who could ollie the most boards, and you have to stack the boards like this, like that, and see how many you could get over. Timmy was there, and it got down. I remember it got down to me and Tim Lane, and I beat him. I beat Tim. It was the first time I beat him because Tim was a legend. I mean, all out of all of those guys, I remember. Tim was always, his abilities were always spoken of with reverence by everyone. Tim was great, such a good writer, very inspiring too, and also made me my Shaolin bracelet too, which I've remade here. Actually,
I remember going over to their house, and Mom was usually pretty cool, making like some kind of remedy tea or something, and. I remember he always had whatever used stuff and give me used shoes or whatever.
Always,
It's so bizarre.
He made that.
I think about it now. Why would I want his used shoes?
He made that Shaolin leather bracelet for me out of an old weight belt he had. He had this weight belt, and he's like, "I'm gonna make you leather bracelet out of this. I'm gonna make you a leather bracelet out of this Shaolin thing." And he had some. Sharp, I don't know if it was a knife, what kind of, just like a regular old knife, and he was just cutting this leather thing out, and then he got shoelaces and put it together and tied it on, and he's like, you can't take it off. And then there was the time when I was with Brian, another spot, so the Richards was a good spot. We used to go to Whaleback. That was okay. It was the Whaleback was great except for those two pillars that used to get in the way,
Right. And then just the hard hit slant.
Yeah.
Those banks. It was barely any room.
Yeah. But we used to do, high school quad was a lot of fun. Also up where I used to live on Scripps Drive, right down the street, there was that complex with Lucky's and stuff.
Oh, the Aggie Liquor.
Aggie Liquor
Curbs.
Yep.
It's like where we all got together for lunch every day.
Yeah. And then there's that staircase with the handrails.
That's right.
Yeah.
At the end, towards your house.
Hanover Street, right? So
That's
you had
right.
the stair, you go and you hit that, and you hop on the thing, and you could do that was the first time people were starting to do handrails.
That's right.
It was super dangerous, too, because cars would come around.
That's right.
That
was a fun handrail. We were just starting to run and jump on that, learning how to do that.
Yeah, we'd run and jump onto it. And then
seen Oi doing that a bunch of times.
Yeah. Crazy.
Like, it can be done.
Yeah, right. That's right. And then the high school, like I said before, actually the high school had a really bad accident there on, it was April Fool's Day. I think I was 13. I was with Brian Reed and Nate Smith. And we decided we were going to go do rail slides at Davis High. So we rode over there, and it was during the summer. Or no, sorry, during spring. Yeah, it was like during spring or spring break or something. Yeah, it was like April 1st, and I remember we would fly down the hallway super fast, and then we would hit the little. There's like these little curbs that go off the sides of each one of those stairs that would go down into the curbs. So there's a quad was lower than the rest of the high school, you know, and hands up on the ground and go, you know, ride and ollie over them. Okay, let's do that. Okay, I'm gonna do this one more slide, just one more time. Famous last words, and I hit that thing. Went super fast. I hit that thing, and the board slid out from under me, and I had my arm. I think it was behind my back like this, and I was kind of like doing this, and I hit that thing, and I fell backwards onto the curb. Curb is like that high off the ground or something. And my body weight hit here, and the curb was right there, and it busted my arm in half.
Oh, man.
And you can see the scar right there. There's the scar.
Shit.
And there's another scar right there still. And I was in and out of casts and surgery for about 9 months. Had surgery twice. And I had a 50% chance of losing my arm.
Ugh.
Yeah, so I'm lucky I have it, you know, because I'm a guitar player. So glad I have it, and an artist, you know, and I need to use it. So had a 50% chance of losing my arm. It grew back like this, and so the doctors had to re-break the bone, put it back together, and then put plates on it.
Oh, man.
And I remember when I busted it, Brian was like, "What happened? What happened?" And later he said it sounded like two sticks breaking. Crunch. It sounded like two sticks. Somebody had taken two sticks and broke them over their knee or something. And Nate Smith, who lived right around the corner from me, he was also known as like the neighborhood clown. He used to prank people all the time. He used to go like doorbell dish people, and you know, he used to just prank people all the time. He was really known for that. He skated in my house, knocked on the door. My mom answered the door, and she said, "Adam broke his arm really bad. You know, he's down the street." And my mom didn't believe him because, you know, he's a clown. He was like, "I think you're lying to me. It's April Fool's Day." You know, he's like, "No, I'm not." And she like closed the door in his face. Yeah, and I eventually, I picked up my board. Brian got my board, and I picked up my arm like this, and you know, was holding it, and I walked home, block away. You know, yeah, that was crazy. That was really, really crazy. In and out of cast and surgery for 9 months, and then the next year I broke this hand on Donald's half pipe.
That's right. I remember
Donald's
that.
half pipe, and Shanti drove me to the emergency room for that one.
I remember being there.
Yeah.
Who was it? It was me, you, and Shanti, and somebody like Berto or something.
Yeah.
Was it Berto?
Berto.
I think Berto was there.
Yeah, Berto.
That's right.
Berto.
You remember Berto?
Yeah. I went up and I did a backside air to slide.
That's right.
And I landed it, but then I lost my footing at the last, like, before I came back in again and fell into the middle of the ramp like this, and crunch, and it broke my arm. But I didn't have to have surgery for that. The guy put it back together, put a leather bit in my mouth. He said, "Okay, we're going to fix this right now." And I went, "Rap," and just put it back together, and put a cast on me.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had so many injuries. Concussions, 2 broken arms, messed up knee, hyperextended knee, hip stuff, man, shoulder. Yeah. Bad back problems. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Did you ever skate with Tom Richards?
Yeah. Of course, he's part of that core group. Tom was. There's so many. Nate Smith was part of that too. So Nate, Tom, Atif, Matt Wanderer, John Kennedy. Yeah. They're all part of that core group, right? Tom Richards. I've known Tom for a long, long time. Met him early on.
Have you seen him at all lately?
No, I haven't actually. I think he's out in the Bay Area or something. I haven't. I talked to him very, very briefly, I think, years ago, but I haven't seen him in a long, long time. Or Nate either, for that matter. I know Nate's still probably in the Bay Area, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, what time is it?